So it's serious. It's serious. Okay, we're streaming and we are recording. Madam Chair Pacina and Dr. French, thank you all for getting us, trustee members, thank you for giving us the opportunity to have you all at Syringa Middle School. I've been in administration here at Syringa for several years now, and I can't remember a time when we were able to have a board meeting at the school. And so I really feel like it's a great opportunity to have decision makers like yourselves in to see the buildings, to hear from the kids, to have conversations for the kids. I always feel like opportunities like that are impactful in the decisions that we make. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to young Jaden, and he is going to open up the meeting.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, check, 3, 3, check. Okay, trustee members, my name is David Hall, and I'm a 7th grade student at Syringa Middle School. I would like to welcome you to the school board at work session and executive session tonight at Syringa. Today is Monday, March 15th, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please do the roll call?
Thank you, Jaden.
Welcome, ma'am.
Welcome in.
I want to
Trustee,
say one thing.
yes.
Call Mr. Strickland slacker.
It's okay.
Trustee Andrew Butler.
Here.
Trustee Manuel Godina.
Here.
Vice Chairman Travis Manning.
Here.
Madam Chair Maricela Pacina.
Here.
What's wrong with you?
He's married. Wow, Brent. Oh, I'm so sorry about that, Brent. I'm the bad day.
Good evening. My name is Brent Ossoff, and I'm an 8th grade student at Syringa Middle School. At this time, I'd like to please stand for our pledge of allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is an honor to have this board meeting here at Syringa Middle School. We hope that you were able to observe all the great updates that we have taken place to our building. I have heard that someone special has a birthday today. I would like to wish a happy birthday to Dr. French.
Thank you.
How old are you today?
I'm right there. I love this teacher.
We have somebody leading a happy birthday for Dr. French.
Okay, y'all.
Okay, thanks.
How do you guys want to do it?
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. French. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, so let's see, we have, I don't know, I'm looking at 2 different agendas and I have student recognition. Music program. Okay, so before we do that, all right. And so kids, just so you know, you always need a clerk because she keeps us on our toes and she tells us, okay, this is what you're gonna do next, okay? So, thank you, Madam Clerk. So now, at this time, I would like to ask for the board meeting agenda postings, Madam Clerk.
Madam Chairperson and trustees, I request the approval of the Board of Trustees board work session agenda posting for Monday, March 15th, 2021. The original agenda was posted on Friday, March 12th, 2021 at 3:39 p.m. It was posted on the school district website and at the Caldwell District Office.
Okay, thank you. And so students, and I'm gonna have to tell you a little bit about this. Anytime you have an open meeting in the state of Idaho, we've got to post it and we've got to let people know when we have this meeting. And so that's what she just did. She let people know when it was posted, and then we have to move to accept that posting, okay? So at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for the postings, the board meeting agenda posting, please.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve and accept the agenda posting from March 15th, 2021.
Okay, I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I would like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion moves by majority. Thank you. And then, so now on our agenda, we have our board work session agenda, and at this time, we have Syringa Middle School presentation. So, all right, so, Mr. Swan.
Madam Chair, once again, thank you for giving us this opportunity. As most things this year, we operate a little bit different. We are getting back to somewhat sense of normalcy. However, we felt like this would give us a good opportunity for us to introduce and maybe have two of our programs do somewhat of a performance for you. So the first one that I'm going to introduce is Mrs. Lindquist. She has got some of her orchestra, and Mrs. Griffith. They've got some of their orchestra players here tonight, musicians tonight, along with some members of the choir, and I think maybe even a band member. And so, okay, digitally. They're going to talk to you a little bit about what they've been doing in the music department, some of the changes that they've done this year in comparison to previous years. And then are also going to have a few students perform for you. After that, we've got Dr. Farrow, who was joined by her Future City team. And so they have already competed this year. And once again, it was a little bit different this year in comparison to years past. But they're going to talk to you a little bit about that and then maybe show off their presentation for this year. But first, Mrs. Griffith and Mrs. Lindquist.
Madam Chairman and Dr. French and members of the board and all others, thank you for having us tonight. In the music department, we have been working to master the CREATE standard by learning how to write original songs. In order to accomplish this task, the students had to learn how the rhythms and pitches works. These included learning about the note values, the staff, time signatures, pitch names, solfege syllables, key signatures, and all kinds of other stuff. They use this knowledge then to compose a melody. And then for choir, they then added layers of other sounds to make it feel more complete. To compose the music, we used Noteflight, which is an online music writing software. And to add the layers for choir, we used another online arranging software called Soundtrap. These are some of the thoughts that the students had about their experiences, gathered from their post-melody reflections. Well, I like it a lot, even though I needed a little help. I like it because it sounds beautiful. One thing about my song that I'm really proud of is creating it using my own knowledge from what I learned about music. I am really proud that I created this music by myself. I didn't know I could do that.
In addition to composing, we've also been using an online website called smartmusic.com, which is where my students would practice and our band students would practice the music that they had been assigned. They would turn in recordings and then be graded on those recordings. So first, I have a digital representation of that website, Smart Music. We're going to hear a couple examples from the band. After that, we're going to hear the compositions from choir. And then we have live with us some of my students who also wrote their own compositions. So the music that you will hear live today is their own compositions that they have written in the last couple weeks. So I'm going to play the recording for you, and then we'll invite my students up to perform. If you could hold your applause to the very end, because I know we're crunched for time, that would be good to help us transition a little bit faster, okay?
Band recordings with smart music. Choir compositions with note flight and soundtrack.
My name is Audrey McDaniel, and I will be playing my song Spirits of the Caribbean.
Hi, my name is Daniela Huerta, this is my partner. And we're gonna be playing Childhood Survey.
Hi, my name is Emily Kramer, and I'm playing My name is Alexis Gilder, and I'm playing Distance Road. My name is Lauren Fisher. We're actually sitting in bed to the bottom of the list. My name is Tyler Robinson. I'm Seth Stokes. We'll be playing Autumn Bliss. Tyler Robinson. I'll be playing Lily Woodard.
Thank you. I know they're all leaving, but thank you so much for your presentation. We really appreciated it. I don't know about you, but.
Thank you so much for having us. Sorry, I have to say,
Oh, okay. Yes. All right. I was just gonna say that it seemed like when I was listening to the choir or the orchestra, that it was a start of a Hollywood movie, you know, how they'll have a fiddle or they'll have a cello and,
yeah.
you know, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a good part, this was gonna start, so it was awesome, thank you so much. We
Thank you so
appreciate
much
it.
for
I'm
letting
jealous. I wish I could.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Good
Thank you.
job.
Very good.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That's an interesting way to.
Yes. That is.
Okay, so this year we did this competition called Future City, where a bunch of teams from different schools collaborate together to create a futuristic city. And Thuringa, this has been my second year doing this competition, but Thuringa has been doing this for 12 years.
In this project, we learned a lot about how to work as a team. There's a lot of collaboration needed in this project because we are split into 5 different teams, and we all need to work together to actually make the city.
As Nick said, how we had to work as a team, there's different parts, as a team that we had to take as writing the essay, building the model, coming up with our simulation for the project, and many more. As also as the different parts in the team, we have to take responsibilities.
Could you tell us your names? So we'll start with. Hi, I'm Nicole.
I'm Edmund Zucker.
And I'm Charles Butler.
Okay, and then we have Cody, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Our city this year was set on the moon. That was actually like the kind of like the challenge of the year is to actually make the city on our moon. Our city was actually placed in the Ardaman prefecture, if that's what you would like to call it, in the moon, which is in the northern hemisphere. Yes. Oh, and our city's name is Artemis Moon Base.
We're the 7th grade team. We were located in the North Pole of the moon. We were located in the North Pole of the moon. Our
team is called New Seattle. Yeah,
right, I think
yes.
I was the project manager on Food System.
I was model, so we know the model.
Was also part of the team. We came across many challenges building this. As Nick said, he introduced what the entire thing was about. It's a national competition that we all have to face challenges that we try to overcome in realistic scenes. And in our case, we also have to overcome in real life challenges like building the model during this pandemic. We were not able to group up, but we had to rather go to meet and do different things to overcome these challenges. So in our case, we built it at our own houses to minimize the risk of getting this COVID.
So as you can see on the screen, we kind of built different aspects of the city from our own houses, and then we put them together by taking pictures and putting them on slides. So as Matthew said, it was difficult because we couldn't work together, so it was hard to form a complete design. So we had to find a way to communicate with each other and work together while still being apart.
Talia and I were a part of the skit team. We were in charge of making the presentation for the city and explain all to the judges.
Normally, we do this in real life with the model, but because due to circumstances, we did not have a full model and we couldn't be there in person, so we did this over a Google Meet.
Yeah, we all went into character as people living in this city, and we performed a skit on explaining the city and explaining what we're doing.
Grow meat from meat cells.
That was very interesting.
You can grow meat from meat cells.
Oh.
You can multiply meat cells and grow meat.
It was hard to figure out what to do to bring food sources.
Did I read somewhere that Russia and China are thinking of building a base on the moon or something? Did I see that recently?
Yeah. The US was telling cut NASA's budget.
Well, you all have a great teacher there, and you're very well spoken, all of you.
Yes.
Good job. And
Thank you.
where was the competition supposed to be held if you were able to go?
Boise State.
Boise State.
And is it a one-day meet or is it over a week?
It's just
Nick competed last year.
Me, Cody, and Karma, we all competed last year. It's actually held in a ballroom at Boise State University, where all of like the physical models are lined up in like just a really huge room. And in the middle of it, there was like the stage and seats for everyone to sit in while they did their awards and actually talked about the project to everyone who did it.
So it was a lot different this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all did it through like a Google, like it wasn't a Google Meet, it was actually a Zoom, and there was different breakout rooms for each of the teams. And then at the end, there's different kinds of awards. There's like the actual main award, and then there's the different types of like mini awards if you would like to call them. Yeah. And there's a different judge for each of the mini awards that would like judge us based on like that specific part of our city. And then an actual real judge that would explain, like that would like grade us on our overall city.
That's great.
and all of the special awards judges were some sort of experts or engineers in that area.
How many
It was
schools
cool
did
getting
you-
judged by professionals.
It was also really nice just like talking to people who know a lot about the subject, because some of that stuff you're really interested in.
And Dr. Farrell, can we get a picture of the group behind the board? I realize you're wearing masks, but we still would like to make sure.
Come on back.
We haven't had one of these for a while.
What's the last one?
Oh, you need, is, trustee Butler in? You probably want to stay right.
Oh, do we need a squeeze in?
I'm not going.
Make sure they can see you though.
Well, I have to say, my ear is blowing up right now because it's March Mammal Madness. And we've got some serious mammal competition going on tonight. These kids all have invested in a mammal that they're supporting.
I was the first one to lose.
I'm not the
1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Smile big. Okay.
Thank you.
That's great. Is this for my stress?
Yes.
That's impressive.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Farrell.
Thank you for the opportunity to present.
Okay. Okay. Agenda. Okay, so on with our agenda. And I guess I just want to say after the fact, to everybody that's out there, streaming, we are at Syringa Middle School, and so we decided, we were invited by, the principal, Mr. Swan, to come out here and have our board session here, so we are excited to be here, and, we just enjoy the school. We've gotten a tour, it's beautiful, and, thank you for your student participation, and we got some good kids here, so thank you. All right, and some great teachers and staff, so thank you. And now for our next item on our agenda, we have number 2, evidence for early learning.
Thank you, Madam Chair and trustees. I added this agenda item a few months ago because I felt like this would be something that we need to visit about and just discuss so that you're aware of what we're doing. Some time ago, I'd say 5 years ago, just looking at data, reviewing the data for our kindergarten students who are coming in, we could see that based on IRI, the Idaho Regional Care, that our incoming kindergartner students were not necessarily kindergarten ready. So we began a collaborative with we strengthened the collaborative we had with the YMCA and then began a collaborative with YCAP, the Head Start program, to offer more preschool opportunities for students in the Caldwell School District. And I have to say that Tamara Lawson is joining us. She's here virtually. But that collaborative, although it can be challenging at times because everyone has an idea, we have, I feel, worked really well together to provide some preschool opportunities. And we're grateful for the Lee Pesky Foundation to provide professional development for our teachers. They have also provided professional development, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, to build that early learning, strengthen teachers in that early learning time. I think sometimes we forget how important that is, that 4 to 5, and then what is happening from 4 to 8 years old, and how are we addressing the needs of those students? And I think this year has been very telling. Not concerned of making sure our kindergartners have the support they need. Let me first, before I turn it to Tamara, to speak to some of the data or some of the information that we added to Word docs for you. I was looking at the Washington State Early Learning Guidelines and the British Columbia Early Learning Guidelines. And I would like to see the Caldwell School District, as we work through our strategic plan, that we prepare also an early guideline, something that can be reflective of what our neighbors have been doing. Now they do it on a statewide level. Their states are supportive of preschool and kindergarten. I will give, there is a discussion at our state level to provide funding for all-day kindergarten. And I'm very hopeful that that conversation will continue. There has been a lot of pushback on preschool this session, which, just makes us want to work harder to have, so people have an understanding of the importance of that early learning and how it benefits children. So I do see that going forward, and I hope that we can work together on actually having a guideline of these are the things that we commit to help children to come to Caldwell to be their very best selves. And when they leave kindergarten, we can say to parents, this is what the most essential things that, you can guarantee that this is what they should know and be able to do. And if that child's not able to do that, then these are supports we have. And then to bring parents into this conversation to help them know, because not every parent knows that every child doesn't come with it, how to work. And so how do we help parents and support them in their work to support children? And I'd like to turn some time to Tamara to speak a bit about early learning. And Tamara, if you would also speak to the CSD and YMCA preschool data report when you're speaking.
Thank you, Dr. French. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So I'm going to share some documents on my screen, which you have all received in your board docs packet. So if you see me kind of flipping through them I put them in a PowerPoint so it was easier to see, but you have all of the base documents. So I'm going to go ahead and start with just a little bit of background about early learning, early literacy, and student success. Dr. French was saying it is all over the news these days. Anytime you turn on the news in Idaho, it's been a hot button topic. And I was looking back through some data, and it was showing in 2018 there was a Kids Count data book released by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, and it was a little disheartening because it said Idaho ranked dead last in the nation for early childhood education participation, and it's only one of 6 states in the United States that don't invest in a kindergarten or school readiness program, which in itself is a little disheartening, and we can do better. So I just want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here in Caldwell and how we are addressing this. Can you see the little fellow on the screen that says learn?
Yes.
Excellent. I love that photo because it really just embodies what we do here in Caldwell. So early education in Caldwell, I'm going to give you a little background, a little history. I'm going to tell you what we're doing now. I'm going to show you a little bit of our current data, and then just a little bit of looking forward. So if you have any questions at any time, just raise your hand because I can kind of see you a little bit, or just interject and I can slow down. So go ahead. Did someone have a question?
You're good.
Okay, so what does this mean for Caldwell kids and Caldwell families? So we want to improve childhood literacy in the early grades. It's one of our top priorities. It can be difficult for some kids when they enter kindergarten or first grade if they don't have the same skills that many of their classmates might already have. The terms kindergarten readiness are bandied around with just overall school readiness. Either way, it covers a wide range of concepts, from the ability to follow instructions, to taking turns and cooperating with classmates, all the way to reading literacy and basic math skills. And it also includes like basic learning letters and how to form words and how to hold a book the right side up. And these are things that sometimes I think as educators, we take for granted. So way back when all of this started, I want to say about 2015 was what the data I'm working off of. You're looking at some early math assessment data that was compiled by the Lee Pesky Foundation, and they are amazing. They have really been helping us track our data, train our teachers. And this one really shows that in that first year, on that early math assessment they used, on the pre-test, 89% of our kids in Caldwell in our preschool scored below average. But on the post-test, that was down to 28%. And if you look at the post-test over on the right side, the 72% were now average. It's huge gains, which kind of was like a little impetus and a little push, like, yeah, we need to do this. Kindergarten, way back 2012, this is again data that was compiled by Lee Pesky, and it was provided to the United Way. They're one of our funders that help with our preschool program. Thank you, United Way. And in 2012, you can look at the beginning. We used to call it P16. So in there where it says P16 and it's red, those were the kids who came into kindergarten after attending one of our preschool programs. So if you look across the district, the average 48% were in the intensive or below basic group, scored a 1 on the IRI, but only 36% of the kids who came from our first year of preschool scored that below basic. And if you look at the strategic and the benchmark in the other two columns, you'll notice that again, the children who attended the P16 program at that time outperformed their peers. So that was another little kudos and a boost. Keep going. Same thing happened 2013. The numbers even more impressive. Look at that benchmark 3 on the right-hand side with that P16. 57% of those kids were scoring a 3. Amazing. 2014, we're just seeing the trends continue. And so I'm just kind of going to go through those really quickly to kind of where we are now. What we screen on now is something called the Get Ready to Read screener. And it is a nationally normed, recognized research-based screener tool. And it was adopted for us as a use of our main tool. And this data is from way back a long time ago too. Again, you see the same trends. The kids who are in our programs are post-testing much higher than the children who were not in the program to begin with. So just a little bit about that Get Ready to Read screener. I put a little picture up there just so you can see, just so you could kind of see what it looks like. It's a 25 question test and screener, not a test, sorry. And it goes through and just asks some of the most basic skills that we're learning to keep, to see if kids are ready to read. So this one, I know I'm moving kind of fast, is more recent data. This is from 2018, 2019, and this is from one of our YMCA blended classrooms. So a little bit about our program is we actually have 4 different preschool programs operating within the Caldwell School District. We have the migrant preschool, we have the YCAP Head Start preschool, we have the special ed preschool, and we also have the YMCA blended preschool. So the YMCA blended preschool works in tandem with our special ed classrooms so that we have typical peers along with students with special needs working in the same classroom to accomplish the same goals. And if you look in 2018, 2019 on the pre and post test, below average when they started, these were the general education students, was that large blue, average was the red, and above average was the green. If you look at the post test, drastic changes. We now have the majority of the classroom being average, with above average and below average equal. Now, if you kind of turn that on its head and you look at our special needs students, some might say, well, what does their growth look like? This is their pre and post, and this is the same classrooms, just a different group of students. And if you look at their below average when they started, it was clear up in the high 80s, and the average was just above 10%. And if you look at their post test, the below average has drastically gone down to just below 60%, and the average has gone up to 40. I'd say those are pretty good gains for our kids. So just some more data. This one is math. I talked a little bit about the Get Ready to Read screener, which is our nationally normed test assessment that we do, but we also do local assessments based on our research-based curriculum, Frog Street, that we use. And this one is, we measure one-to-one correspondence, cardinality, rote counting, shapes. So we also track their basic math skills. And here's our 2018 data, pre and post. Again, the post is always higher, which is what we're wanting. When I was going over these charts and statistics with Christiane Lane from Lee Pesky, she wanted me to make sure to reiterate that, you know, sometimes when people look at these, they're like, oh, that doesn't really look like much. But on these normed tests, if a student makes average gains, their score on the pre and the post, it would be the same. So anything that is going up is definitely a gain, and they have to actually move a level to go up. And here again are our students with special needs. Look at the pre and the post on their math skills. Look at the one-to-one correspondence. That is really impressive. So this one is in your board docs packet. And this one actually is documentation from the state and district comparison on the overall summary for the IRI. And if you look in here, this is what I wanted to point out. It's a little small. I hope you can see it. The difference between when we went from half day to full day kindergarten. Can everybody see that? I can't tell what you're, there it is. It's popping in the screen there. If you look at the half day kindergarten, when we started 19%, we moved up to 33%. That was a 14% gain. That's pretty impressive. But if you look when we moved to full day kindergarten, 34%. Everybody say, ooh, those are good numbers. We like those kind of numbers. So yeah, it's impressive. And it really goes to show that that extra time, these early skills, the focused instruction, the combined approach between the programs is really making a difference with our kids. I could take a little more time and go through all of the data in the packets with you, but I just really wanted to point that out, that, I mean, you can't beat that data right there, half day to full day. And then of course, our data for this last year is a little skewed. We don't have our spring data points, so we're working on that. I also wanted to show this. I don't have all of the numbers historically, since it was before I came on board and I was doing a little work on there, but the actual numbers of kids I was able to track down who attended one of our programs, whether it be Head Start in our schoolrooms, YMCA, CSD, Migrant, throughout the past 6 years. We have almost 1,000 Caldwell kids who have benefited from these programs. I get a little teary. So yeah, go team. And it's the United Way. It's Treasure Valley YMCA, it's Treasure Valley YCAP Head Start, it's Caldwell School District, and it's everybody working together to get this to work. I have more data I could go over. I have the early learning guidelines from the other states Dr. French spoke about. So far in Caldwell, what we've been using so far is the Idaho Early Learning Guidelines for the preschool classroom. And as a collaborative, we have decided, we have these monthly meetings where we go through and we really decide what is most important for Caldwell kids. And we have these essential standards that we really focus to and work with Lee Pesky on the different strategies to teach those to our kids.
Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna ask if Jody knows, if you would speak just a bit to the IRI data that Tamara shared.
Tamara, could you go back to that district data?
This one?
That'd be great, right? Yep, state, go down a little bit.
Okay, it's froze up. There we go.
Go the other way down. So to interpret this, 2018-19, we had a full data set, and this is half day. This is prior to Caldwell going to a full day set. And if you look at the trend data, Caldwell's kindergartners usually come in the fall around 18 to 25%, rarely above 25, rarely below 18. So it's kind of a norm that we're bringing in 18%.
And what does that mean, bringing in 18?
Yeah, so 18% of kids that are ready for kindergarten as measured by the fall IRI. Previously, we called it a legacy IRI, and in order to score a 3 or proficient or at grade level, they had to know 3 letters in the fall. Now, I don't know very many names that don't have at least 3 letters in it, and 18% of our kids would come in being able to know 3 letters.
3
Okay.
alphabet letters.
3 alphabet letters. We didn't ask for sound, we didn't ask them to spell, we didn't ask them to draw it, they just had to point to it and say it.
So this might be way out, but okay, so this is for Caldwell.
Caldwell.
Okay, 18%. Do you know what like Ada County is?
I know what state is.
State.
Would I help you with state?
Uh-huh.
Tamara, you're gonna go down. There you go, stop. So this is where the state came in at about 45%.
in the
Okay.
fall,
Mhm.
and Caldwell comes in at 18%.
Gotcha. Okay.
The state grew in the spring to about 60%,
Mhm.
and Caldwell grew to about, what is that, about 45? But here's the thing, and this is what is amazing, is the state grows about 20%,
Mhm.
and we outgrow the state, and we're still below their mark. Does that make sense? Okay, so go back up to the original one. So this is half-day kindergarten, a full year of a data set, fall, winter, and spring.
The
This
red is the state.
is
and
the
blue
state,
is
yep.
us.
Okay.
So you can see the state's trajectory, and you can see our trajectory.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
our
we want.
angle is
right?
higher.
We meet them where they're at, we take them beyond where they think they can go.
Okay.
This is then this last year that we were interrupted or abbreviated because of COVID. Full day, our first year of full day kindergarten, and look at that trajectory. Still came in at about 18-20%. This year then, the 2021, we're still growing, and this is what I think I shared at a couple board meetings ago, that there's learning opportunity that's been lost. We're still growing kids, but pretty much we went back to a half-day model, and look at our trajectories compared to this half-day model. Long story short, full-day kindergarten is absolutely what our kindergarten kids need.
Because I would say the second in the middle, that second blue mark is just winter. That's not the spring.
This
We
is winter.
anticipated last spring, before COVID sent us all home, that our kindergarten was going to set a new record as a district kindergarten.
We were higher in the winter than I've ever seen Caldwell this. And if you take that trajectory right out, we would have surpassed, I know we would have surpassed the state.
That's how
How
I
is that
saw.
possible? It's during COVID, right?
Well, this
That
was
was
last
at the
year.
end of the year.
That was last year.
winter.
They showed us
Last
down, if you
winter.
This is
remember.
February, before we,
A year
A
ago.
year ago.
yeah.
A year and a month ago.
So then this year, this is fall, when we were in remote, and we brought it back in September to test. This is winter that we just did in February, and we're still on that same trajectory. Spring, we don't have yet. We'll take that the middle of May.
So what's the difference there between the two percentage? Because you said before it's about 20% that we grow each one.
You mean
So
the
in the
middle one
middle,
with the winter?
yeah, between the blue, yeah.
I
Where
think
you
that's
see those-
55. So we came in at 21 and we were already at 55.
And if you recall, the year before, we ended at 45.
Yeah.
So full day kindergarten, I believe, with good PD. We do appreciate good professional development. It took some work for teachers to get their minds wrapped around a 6-hour day instead of planning for just 3 hours for this group and then 3 hours for this group. Once they were working that through, we were just seeing great gains. And I think that's what the early learning, it's going to be a benefit for all the children and their families. And that's why it's really important that whatever you can say to your legislator about funding that, it's a benefit for every child in Iowa. We'll continue the collaborative work. And we're thankful for Tamara. Meeting and working with all those groups and promoting it. Our migrant element or migrant preschool has been actually quite large. Last year, there were like 30 possible children that could be in the migrant preschool, and Tamara had 28 of them. So she did her job of getting them in. And there's so many soft skills that we don't assess, and we've talked with Tamara, Christy, and Lane at Pesky. Those soft skills of, do you know how to share? When you're 5-year-old, do you know how to share? Can you tie your shoe at the end of the school year by yourself?
Can you stand in line the first day of school? Do you know how to behave in a classroom the first day of
Without
school?
clothing?
I still have issues with that.
And then you can, the crying, even when they're sad, because they're missing their parents and their families, and can they be independent? And be, that's a tough year. And so those experiences of being with others and socializing and playing and knowing, are you working on their fine motor skills and their large motor skills? With a pencil, those are things we haven't tracked, but they're just as important to school readiness.
So my question, Dr. French, I was just glancing, skimming through some of this. This is some really cool information, the Washington State Early Learning and Development Guidelines. And I was just skimming through the first part of it, like, what can you do at the different ages, to help your child? And I thought these are great, because, everyone always says, when you have a child, the child doesn't come with a book of, how do you raise this child to the best of his abilities, and, and so there was some really cool information on here, like, young infants birth to 11 months, older infants 9 to 18 months, what you start with. So how can we, as a school district, or is it even our job? So how can we, as a school district, get this information out to our parents?
Oh, that's, I'm so glad you asked. So our instructional coaches, working with Allison, working with the principals, we will start sending out, right now, we have a kindergarten newsletter that will go out every month to the kindergartners who are registered for school for next fall.
Okay.
And on that kindergarten newsletter will be things that parents can look for, things that, like ideas, in a proactive way to support parents in their, they're getting their kiddos ready, because it's kind of a big deal for parents too. Sometimes that's the first child going to school. And so Allison and the instructional coaches have put some thoughts together. Now we continue to have that conversation. Can we do this for other grade levels? Can we do this for preschool? To where we stay in contact with parents every month, all year long, 12 months a year. And there's so much research out there that we can pull and say, how about this readiness skill? And is your child able to take care of their own bathroom needs? That's something that you might want to be looking at and working on. And so, yes, I think how we can start it in a proactive way, in a supportive way, and not a. And it has to be supportive.
Yes,
I hope I'm saying that right. I just don't want parents to think that, oh, well, parents are doing an awesome job.
Right.
They're doing, and we just, how can we help them in their work? Because it's a big job.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking, and this is just out of my field.
Okay.
But can we have a little pamphlet that we could, how when people have babies at the hospital and they have a little diaper bag that the hospital gives them with diapers and maybe a little can of Similac? Can we do a pamphlet that says, here you go, here's a starter kit on how to educate your child from day one? Something like that. I'm just,
You know what?
it's just an idea.
Okay, maybe we can work with, with the, yes. You know what, Tamara, we're working with in West Valley and we'll just see what we can do to help support that. And I don't know if they do give things out. I'm not sure what pediatricians.
Can I interject here just a little bit?
Sure, please.
So we do actually have some resources that I have been remiss, and I just realized in sharing with the entire preschool program that we use with the migrant program. We have little booklets that come out from the state of Idaho, from the Idaho Library Commission. We have all of these little things that we send out with parents when they enroll in our migrant preschool program, and I do not know why I never thought to make that across the board. So yes, that is an easy ask. I can definitely expand that, and I don't know why I never thought of that. So thank you, Chairman Pacina.
And I was also saying, Chairman Senior Trustees, we can also, the assistants, the Fargo branches, the assistants.
Yes.
Maybe work through them, Tamara, and get them into their hands.
Great, just something, because when a mom can't sleep at night because her baby's called or whatever, or just can't sleep, just read something. But anyway, that's just a.
Well, I think that's, we want parents to read, and we need to make sure they have to read with their children. And we need to, whatever we can do to support them.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of folks that donate books for children. It's just amazing how important 0 to 5.
Yes.
Well, actually, birth to 5, preschool, what we can do, because you can see just in that 1 year of full day kindergarten, working on vocabulary skills, working on knowing my alphabet, knowing what the letter A is, the sounds of the alphabet. Those are just, and then knowing how to get along with my peer next door or next to me on the carpet square, so that we can listen to the people that teachers.
And I could say that, you know, because I was a Head Start child, and I went, and back in the day, I don't think my parents were thinking about education, they were thinking more like, who can take care of my kid while I go to work? You know, and that was just a survival thing for them. But, you know, when I saw my name on a styrofoam cup, you know, where I put my toothbrush, I thought, that's me. You know, and to me, that was like, wow, it's an eye opener as a child, as a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, thinking, that's me, those letters, that's me. So I think that's, you know, for a kid, that could be an eye opener, like, okay, what else can I learn here? And, you know, for me, it was a big thing. So I think that, you know, early education is so important.
It is, and we want to be supportive in their work and their efforts.
I was gonna say, I think it is a partnership between districts and our schools and parents. And sometimes I think that can be politicized a little bit, overly politicized, and that's unfortunate. Because we are partners and we're here to help each other and build each other. And so that I just think the value of pre-K, value of full day kindergarten sets the trajectory for kids. We know that, and I've said this before, that you can tell by, you know, third graders' reading scores. There are certain predictors that we know, okay, you're less likely or more likely to graduate from high school based on your third grade reading scores. We know a lot of this stuff. So what does that mean for us? It means that, just as you're saying, that early education, the first time a kid should see the book shouldn't probably be the first day of kindergarten. Probably, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. I know that there are a lot of moms that actually read to their kids in the womb. You may say, what? They read to the kids in the womb. Well, you build that relationship and you build that rapport and you build that family culture, and you build those expectations that books are part of your family, right? Learning and reading and growing are part of your family. So you set that expectation early. I think that's where we're getting to. Hopefully, part of the community is making sure we set those expectations with our kids and help each other to help our kids so that they're ready. When they come to school, when they come to kindergarten, they're ready. They know some basic skills that they're saying. I would just echo what everyone's saying. It's really important.
We're just going to keep you updated and ask you to speak to your legislators. And I agree with Vice Chairman. It's not supposed to be oppositional. We are supporting families and they support us. So it's a collaborative process. So thank you for your time on that. We'll keep giving some good research.
And I just want to commend, you know, our school district for that big jump in, you know, what it was before when the kids start to what it is at the end of the year. That's some impressive numbers, and we can be really proud of that. So, and I thank our administration and our staff for that. That's great.
It's a commitment of the educators that they're all in. Right?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Tamara, for giving us all this information, and we appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And one last thing before I sign off, I put up a picture of our recruiting flyer. Right now, we've already got 99 families who have signed up for more information about next year's preschool. And this is our information flyer in both English and Spanish. And so if you would like some flyers to distribute around to people you know around town, hit me up and we will get you set up.
Thank you. We will. Thank you so much.
Okay. Community outreach from schools and setting up booths.
We, Madam Chair, we have the previous COVID. We definitely get, I like
Yes. Tamara
Cowboy
and
Night Rodeo.
Dolores is everywhere.
set up, When we
It's nice to be
we
seen.
will.
Yeah, it's nice to be seen. This is what we should,
We have a banner, we give away
Books
books.
and good stuff. Yes,
So,
yes.
yes,
Great relationship with the library. the town
yes.
library. They do a phenomenal job putting on programs there for the little ones. everybody should be able to take advantage of that program too.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay. And, okay, so next on our agenda is a calendar for school year 2021 and 2022. I know that this is the project that Jody Mills lives for and dies for. So Jody, Ms. Mills.
Chair, trustees, you definitely get to know who your friends are in this process, and everybody has an opinion, which is just wonderful. So I get to hear from quite a few folks. I believe I'm here tonight just to give you an update on the process and how we've been working through it, with the anticipation that I'll be back in April with a recommendation for approval for the 21-22 school year. Currently, we have 4 building level administration plus 4 teachers and 3 district administration and 1 classified folk that are helping us craft and draft calendars for staff to vote on for a recommendation back to the board that will come at the next board meeting. So far, we have had survey sent out to the Caldwell district employees. And from that, we have 347 folks respond back on an opinion of what they would like to see the calendar be. And as well as Allison Westfall has also put a survey out to parents with similar questions that we asked the staff. And so far, we have 927 responses from our parents on that. And that was both in English and Spanish to accommodate all of our patrons to share their voice in it. We have now then drafted some 5 different proposals for the staff to consider. That's now out for voting. It closes as of Wednesday at noon. And then what the committee will do is look to see if there has been 1 or 2 calendars that have surfaced to the top. And if that's the case, it's so close, we'll have a runoff between the 2 top vote getters. If it's not, if there's one that's taking over 50% of the vote, then that's the one we will bring back to you for consideration as a recommendation. But the committee will make that decision and then we'll figure out what to do from there. The process has worked really well. We always get great input. We always get great participation. I believe the way we run this, we always give great opportunity for voice and we listen to the voice, and that's the different calendars that we've proposed for voting right now is accommodating most of the requests. However, if we were to accommodate all of the requests, we would start after Labor Day, finish before Memorial Day. They have 4 weeks off at Christmas, 2 weeks in March, 2 weeks in October. And of course, Valentine's Day would not be a day of school, and either.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl. You know what, I've never asked that question, but I'm sure that would be a question too. So, with that, I would stand for questions.
So I'm curious, how many sets you actually start with? How many designs, calendars do you actually?
Thank
start
you,
with?
Madam Chair.
I'm just curious about
Trustee
that.
Butler, I believe we have 9 or 11 that we started with. And it's really interesting. I think we're up to 9. Yeah. And it's really interesting because there's just different ways to massage the same data or the same opportunities for dates. We always try to accommodate the survey results with when folks want to start, what day they want to start. So we always give options. Right now, the parents would absolutely like to start on a Monday, or staff would like to start on a Wednesday. So we get 2 options in that. This year with Christmas falling where it does, it's interesting to where we're either going to get out the 18th, around the 18th, which means we come back early in January, or because of where Christmas falls, we could technically go into that next week up till the 22nd or 23rd. And then by doing that, we push out them into the 2nd week of January. We always look to even out the quarters. We always want to even out the semesters. We like to have continuous instruction as much as we can with very little interruption. And so we always strive for that.
And not very many days off in a row.
Yeah, not very many.
Like Friday, 3 weeks in a row.
So we try to, and actually all of the proposals this year have lined up with what other districts around our area's spring break is. So that will be a thing. And then folks absolutely want to get out before Memorial Day. This year we happen to have, I think, Memorial Day falls very late, so. There is one proposal that I will tell you who created it. Into June. And we start late in August, and we end the first semester into January, and we go into June. I can tell you right now, that's not winning, but we did get that option. That option was provided.
Okay. Madam Chair, Ms. Mills, you get 100% participation from teachers.
Madam Chair, Trustee Bodina, we do not. And it's interesting that right now, if I was to cut the voting off right now, elementary participates very, very well. Secondary is the folks that we need to sort of remind and encourage to participate. And I would say this for everybody to hear that if you don't participate at the secondary level, elementary folks will then determine what the calendar is. So it's important that we have voices from all. And we do open it up to all classified, all certified, all staff, all administrators.
Can you tell us really quick, Ms. Mills, what do we have to have on the calendar?
Good question, Madam Chair. Right now, our negotiated contract calls for 183 days. And that's what we are obligated through the contract to provide to certified staff. Of certified contractual days of certified staff. Within that, we have 171 instructional days. 10 days are provided to our certified staff for direct PD, directed time, thank you. For PD, for meetings, for back to school opportunities within the district and within the school. And then we also have 6 non-directed days, or previously called work days, for teachers then to still be under contract, but that's when they have opportunities to work under their professionalism, to do grades and get their classrooms ready, and do what they need to do to get ready to teach. And then we have 2 days designated for parent-teacher communication. We are changing the names from conferences to communication this year due to the fact that I think we've learned a lot through the pandemic, especially with technology, to where we don't have to wait for a day, nor should we wait for a day to communicate with parents. It's ongoing, and that's what we're fighting every Wednesday forward. And we have folks that are communicating with parents early in the morning and late at night. So instead of establishing a day where all of that happens, we're going to encourage and actually require folks to communicate throughout the year.
That I think that conference should be, people should be prepared to have a conference. And when you need a conference, please don't wait until the end of the term. Please have it soon, early and often if you need to. Like, I don't want to wait 18 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever, before parents are contacted. And I think we've seen that that is a very doable thing. Our teachers are, with those connections with families, and it can be done. You don't have to be in person. You know, if a parent cannot make it to a meeting, you can set up a Zoom or a Google Meet.
We really want to get away from the days, and I can speak for me, but you pull your report card out of that nice little jacket and hopefully you saw some great grades, right? But that was really the first time we had feedback either as a student or as a parent. We want to get away from that so that there's no great big surprise when grades are posted, that there's been plenty of information, plenty of opportunity for feedback. There's been opportunity for intervention, opportunity for growth. And it has to go back to the communication. It can't be one.
It's the one thing for sure, we've learned a lot this year. And we can do better. So, any questions, comments, Trustee?
No more snow days.
What's a snow day?
Yeah, say the other day we need old fashioned rain out.
April still is in favor of a snow day on occasion. I'm like, they have, they can take home a Chromebook.
Yeah.
No, I need to go sledding.
It'll be a power outage now.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mills. We appreciate your report. Okay, and then we're going on to our next item, number 4, research on start times.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Trustees. I'm going to begin writing some research on start times when it comes for young adolescent or adolescent. So for more than 2 decades, there is research on start times for the students in middle school and high school. And it does make a difference. And so I provided you with some research that has come out, just again verifying that it does start time at high school really matter. If you haven't had time to read it, that's fine. You're welcome to read the conclusion, because it is a research report. Jody and I, probably it's been probably 3 years ago, we were able to listen to Daniel Pink. I'll get you his research as well. But he also spoke to, if you want to make a significant difference in how your students are doing in the secondary, look at your start time, because you really do, you do kind of create a barrier for them, because their bodies are changing in such a way that starting at 7:30 in the morning or starting before 8:30 in the morning is it's not, they're not functioning at they're just not ready to function. Now, elementary kiddos tend to be ready to go. Those of you who have smaller children probably can attest to their ready to go, up and going. And so starting school at almost 9 o'clock, you know, they've been probably up and ready to go since for 2 hours. So I want to present this to you. I visited with China for children in the Valley School District. They have a late start time for the secondary students. So I want to put this out there, let you know that we are talking about it with administrators, looking for feedback. Probably one of the number one questions you may have is athletics and after school activities, how does that affect them? And it really does depend on, well, I guess it depends on priority, but then when does the start time start and when does the end time end? And there's more than one school district in the state that runs their secondary later in their elementary, and they're still able to make it to their sports activities. They're able to figure out in their schedule how to accommodate for the athletes and the organizations. And I mean, even our student council actually, they have a class during the day, so they don't necessarily meet after school for that class. You know, it's built into their schedule, and there's ways to look at that. But I'm just planting a seed. I'm not sure if families are ready for that switcher route, but you know, it's something to think about. And I don't know, trustee or vice chair Manning, I know he teaches at Valley View secondary. I think Valley, I don't know how long Valley View has had a later start time.
I've been there 16 years and it's been at least 16 years. I'm sure it won't much longer.
And they are able to make to their sports events. So,
And win some games.
yeah, that too. But I will continue to provide you that, and so that you can think about it.
Okay.
Right, because that would be a change. But
I have heard, I've heard a lot of information about, you know, having your kids start later in the day, especially the teenagers. They're probably with insomnia and just different things, you know. And yeah, I'm glad that we're getting to this conversation.
well, we can at least look at the research. It was interesting. I think it sparked my thought about late start when we were looking at the feedback we were getting from the survey from students on returning to school. And there was a comment from a student saying, please don't have us come back so early in the morning. It's from a secondary student. And I thought, that is interesting. So maybe this
I remember
article.
seeing that comment as well.
Say that again.
I remember seeing that comment as well.
It's like, oh. You know, it's definitely something to consider. Yes, there's a gap time. Right now, there's a gap time between secondary and elementary kiddos getting home or leaving. So secondary leaves early in the morning, elementary leaves, there's that gap.
What time did the school start? Elementary, secondary, junior high, high school, and
So the elementary right now, they're at 8:50. Then I see that on my board, 8:50. And then your secondary is about 7:30.
7:30 to 2:50. Class starts about 7:50.
Yeah. So that's when they start coming here.
And what time does Cobble High start?
About 7:30. 7:30. Well, then if they run in a 0 hour, obviously it's earlier, but it's at the same time. The Syringa and Jefferson and Caldwell High. And Canyon Springs, I'll have the same start time. Caldwell High might run a few minutes later in the afternoon.
Does Canyon Springs start that on too?
Yeah, they have the same minutes, instructional minutes, and we ran them the same so that those students transition from Caldwell High. And hopefully we'll be able to bring students to use the CTE program. So we really want Canyon Springs and Caldwell High to have the same schedule. Okay. Yes, so yes.
I think it's a really good conversation. I remember when I was a student.
Hated-
Hated the early, I think we were at 7:15, sorry, 7:15, 7:25. And then I had another class before that, so I actually started at 6 a.m. And then school and everything like that, so start doing early morning things and.
That is really good.
So, yeah, I did the same thing. High school started at 7:30 and I class at 6. Yep.
Madam Chair, if I may, we
Yes.
asked those questions also just as feedback on both of the calendar surveys from the staff and from the parents to say if we, how do you feel about switching start times for elementary and secondary? And the life and scale was love it, hate it, and it's literally sort of like, if you want to come back to school or you do want to stay for remote, it's still about a 50-50 split on that. But there's a great big band of folks in the middle that really don't have a preference anyway. So we at least have some baseline data now, both from our parents and from our staff about how the conversation may.
And I think the research is important. You know, I feel like all the decisions we've made this year have been research-based as much as we glean from everything. Like it's changed a lot. CDC has learned more, so the decisions that we make have been really based on the healthcare. And so hey, why not look at the research here and see what if it improves attendance, if it improves graduation rate, if it improves engagement, then
Absolutely.
why wouldn't it make a simple, in my mind, not, why wouldn't we make a change? You know, to say, this is good for kids. And then research has been around for a long time. It's not new. Thank you for letting me take a moment. We'll see where we can go with that. Just keep sharing information.
Okay, thank you, Dr. French. Okay, and our next item on the agenda, number 5, district continuing school operation plan for 2020 to 2021 school year.
Yes, Madam Chair and trustees, so I updated it from Southwest District Health that they sent. I don't know if you had a chance to see the dashboard. I appreciate that they're keeping this updated. I look forward to next week's, or this next week's, what comes out. I do want to let you know about some plans that we are discussing with administrators now. And it's our discussion about learning gaps program of plans. We recognize that there'll be some learning gaps. So children right now getting ready for next school year. We've had discussions about the summer bridge program. What that would be is like a week-long boot camp. And Principal Swan is here, and he may be able to speak. Oh, I might call him now.
Sure.
To speak to, but like, what could we do to like, is it there's a deficiency or something, we need to strengthen this skill? A week-long, half-day, 7th graders come and they go to a science camp, and then that science camp that they're working with, the science teachers from Syringa, they're also working on some math. That might have been major measurement and ratio proportion, which is really an area that we can improve on. You know, so they're building on those skills, doing something that is engaging in a science way as well. Apart from that, we are looking at every level. So elementary principals are in the discussion of thinking of what could that look like for them, for the K-5 students, middle, and Shane may be able to speak to that a bit. He and Megan, do you want to have talked and visited a bit?
Yeah, so we have shared it with our staff, and to be honest, that's the first step of ours is to find out the interest from our teachers. Just recently put it out on a Google form. Just at Syringa, there was 13 different teachers that were interested in doing some type of summer school opportunity like this. I think it's a great idea. If you look at the Math and Science Summer Institute that we currently do with our science programs, where they go to the College of Idaho for a week and do learn about bacteria, etc., from college professors. Having that be a model of hands-on type academics, to where our teachers are able to identify what are the needs that our kids have in math, or what are the needs that they have in science, ELA, etc., and then having them design a week long of hands-on activities. So we're getting a lot of people excited about it. Our next step would be to get the kids excited about it and get the parents excited about it. And we are going to go about it in a way, and we're not spinning it. We really would like to offer this to our kids, similar to what we do for the Math and Science Summer Institute, that, hey, send your kids to summer learning camp, a camp that maybe if you're to give it, or go get it somewhere else, it might cost you $200 to $300 for your kids to attend. Caldwell School District, come and be a part of this camp, hands-on learning for a week, and your kids will really benefit and enjoy their time. So,
Yeah, so we thought about a week at a time, half a day, so that it's not taking like a student being only, that might be all that they think they can muster. Could be a full day, I suppose. We've talked about creative writing. Creative writing camps are youth that would love to use. And then we've also talked about offering an elective, something that is maybe a little different than just math, science, social studies, and English. But those are conversations.
one of the neat things, and I know you heard us talk about that Math and Science Summer Institute before, but it's 2 weeks after school gets out, we bring the kids back for another week long of instruction. They're always worried that kids won't enjoy it or they won't want to do it the following year. But at the end of every one of those weeks, you talk to the kids, they all, hey, get me signed up for next year. I can't wait to go to next year. And it's just not, it's not a week full of games. I mean, it's a week full of learning. And so I think if we can put it together that way, it'll be beneficial for kids.
And I just want to let you know that those are conversations that are happening so that we can solidify and then we see what the student engagement or the student interest is. And then set those classes up for June, basically June 7th through the 3 weeks in June.
June 7th, June 14th, June 21st are the tentative weeks that we're looking at.
Thank you.
Would we have any transportation available for kids that wouldn't be able to make it?
Hi, Chair Christina, absolutely. We would use additional funding that we'll be receiving through ESSER funds, through CARES funds, through literacy funds from the governor. So it is our goal to provide transportation to all students who need it.
We see that for the little K-5 kiddos too, we've not offered that before. We will have our migrant summer school in July, which is something that we've done, and we'll continue to do that in July. But in June, we will be able to offer, thinking offering that for the K-5 students. And that will be a first for them. But
Since we're in Syringa, it would be for our patrons, it'd be open to the whole entire school district.
I could talk for the entire district for the middle level, oh yes.
I'm sorry.
For the middle level, I know yes. I don't know about the different grade levels.
yeah, I think, and Principal Swan and Principal Wonderlic are working together to kind of see if it comes down that we have student interest that's overwhelming. We may have to figure out those classes and maybe at Jefferson and Syringa. Yeah, we have the 2 Syringa teachers that are interested in that. Jefferson is also asking, so we were thinking, it depends. If we didn't have maybe we have 100 students who are interested. And that all be combined to one school. But it is it's an opportunity that COVID has presented and the ESSER funds have provided that we haven't been able to do before.
I was just gonna follow up. Would that be the same thing in elementary? We focus it at one building and then expand it out.
Right. So right now, the first thing we've asked is, do we have teachers who would come back in June? Either work a half day, 3 hours a day, 5 days, or a full day. And for a week, I mean, they don't have to work all June, but could they take a week at a time? And when we first brought this up, we brought it to the teacher, superintendent council with the teachers who meet with us monthly. And they gave feedback of, if I knew I didn't have to, it wasn't all of June, it was a week in June, a half a week in June, I only have to come from 8 to noon. I'd probably be more willing to do something like that, so that I still rejuvenate from this very trying school year, right? So that's where we're at in the planning process, is getting feedback from principals and teachers, see where we're at. We will be offering an 8th to 9th grade bridge class, and we've asked Principal Swan and Principal Wonderlick to give some recommendations of names of students that, you know, that might need that extra boost between the 8th grade going into the 9th grade. That, you know, we just wanted to be successful as a freshman. So we offered that last year. It was planned to be in person, ended up in virtual. You had recommended like 80 names. Am I saying that too many?
Yeah, that be, I think between the two schools. somewhere.
Yeah, and I think 20 to 40 students came virtually. We'll do the same thing. We'll offer this bridge class. They will be held at Caldwell High School. They get a lay of the land and kind of become familiar with the school and just understanding how to be ready for high school. So, we are planning that. We're also the best opportunity summer school, which we now have this be summer number 4, I believe. So we're planning that, and students use their basketball funds to earn college credit or advanced opportunity or AP could possibly, or just giving credits to open up their schedule for the following year. And then credit recovery, which we've done for years. You know, it's held here for quite a few years. We'll still offer that, which is something we've always done. We just wanted you to know. So that is the plan as we go forward. As part of the operation plan, those funds are coming from ESRA. I need to pay for these bridge process.
So on the festival monies, is that 8-12, 9-12?
7. 7 dollars.
And then on the other one, you mentioned, credit recovery. Is that
That credit recovery those are for students who are not quite on track for graduation. Might need to pick up 1 or 2 credits that they could actually graduate by June of this coming year. They just needed 1 or 2 credits more. Or it could be students who are like, they need 1 or 2 credits to get back on track for graduation. So they have failed the class and they are going back, retaking that class.
Madam Chair, trustees, following the credit recovery portion too. That's why we have a second graduation at the end of. And still allow those children when they meet graduation requirements.
One of our alternative school program is offering a summer credit recovery.
That is all I have.
Okay, I wanted to say, today I met a lady at my job who she went to Caldwell High, her mom went to Caldwell High, and her kids graduated from Caldwell High. And she said that, I asked about her kids, how they were doing, and she said her son was gonna graduate from UOI with a degree in engineering because he fell in love with robotics starting in middle school. Because he got injured at a football game, and he said, you know, what else can I do? So he's graduating from UOI, and he's gonna go forward to a university in Nevada to get his master's on engineering. And it all started with this robotics class, either here or at Serena, or here or Jefferson, yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
you know, the fact that, and she said that he loved going to these summer programs, you know, that it just helped him. And, you know, sometimes these kids, you know, they think this is what I need to do, what I gotta do, and then life throws them a curveball, and then all of a sudden, you know, the great thing is that we have these programs in place that can pick them up and take them to their, you know, to what their career is. And she's just so proud of them, and so proud of our school and our programs that we have there. So that was really awesome.
That is nice.
Yes.
And I would say like the massive program that Principal Swan talked about. When I first came, I think my first year there were 40 students, and you had to expand it.
You know, we're up we're around 80 that attend. I think we bike around 9 years.
I mean, these students are given 2 weeks to go to CFI campus to, that's pretty, I mean, I went to a presentation one summer. I mean, there's oral presentations, they have to be able to talk about the, let me say the,
Auger blades,
thank you.
bacteria.
Oh, yeah, it was like, it is serious stuff. And they are very happy to share what they've learned. So,
Yeah, just like our kids today. I think in junior high, I don't know if I was even able to talk to the person that sat next to me. Like, oh my gosh, that's so hard. You know, and here these kids are presenting and, you know, starting a meeting. That's amazing. That's
yeah,
great.
and I appreciated that. That was great.
Yes.
Thank you. But I'm not telling my age.
That's great. Okay, is that all that you had, Dr. French,
That was
for
it.
the update on the?
And we will
school
keep you posted on the summer program.
Okay,
As we keep, you know, working it through and getting plans and ideas. What I didn't have on here, which we visited with Shane Cummings today, is that EL, English learners, they will have a summer program. That's really what she's working on specifically for our students who receive support in English.
okay, that's great. Okay, and now, number 6, future agenda items. There's one that I did want to put on there. Madam Clerk is, you know, we need to get, if we can get Chrissy Lamont and invite her to start on our.
Madam Chairperson and trustees, I apologize. She's scheduled for our April work session.
Okay, perfect, thank
I
you.
did not tell you that. I did get a call to get it scheduled.
Okay, thank you, that's great. So I'm glad to hear that that's on our future agenda items. Any other agenda items, trustees, that you'd like to add? You good?
Just a comment.
Yes.
Principal Swan, could you speak on these and how they made, the kids made these?
Yeah, well, the bottles, the water bottles, they came back, we used to, we'll get back to those days. We put on a career day, and so that's something that we would have 50 guests from the community that would come in and speak to our kids about different careers. And so we started to make the bottles as just a little token of our appreciation. So we have a bunch of leftover bottles that we were able to get your way. And then our counselor put together some of those all in all the time stickers. That's just the most saying that we have.
Love that saying.
So, yeah.
All the time?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, all the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Principal Swan.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see, information only. First of all, our next meeting is in April.
That's right.
So we have some
We're not
Mondays
gonna
off.
You're gonna have some Mondays off, right?
Oh my gosh. I know.
Overtime.
Yeah. We'll work overtime. Okay, information only, March 15th, 2021 is when our 4th quarter begins. And March 15th through the 19th is parent-teacher conference, parent-teacher communications, right? Okay. And then spring break, woo, March 22nd to the 26th. I want pictures. And March 29th is when our students return to school, and they will be returning to school 4 days a week. Yay! And everyone's happy about that. So let's see, any other information only other than today's Dr. French's birthday? Yay!
I'm happy this birthday is much more gleeful than last year.
Yeah.
This was only like a year ago.
Oh, yes.
We were talking COVID and oh my gosh.
Yes.
This is so much nicer.
And I'm glad that you are matching with the
Yes,
bus.
thank you.
Who knew? That's great, who knew? Okay. And then, I think that's it, unless there's any other information. No, we're good? Okay, thank you very much, Principal Swan, we appreciate
Yes,
your
thank you.
hospitality and the tour, it was great. Your kids did amazing, so thank you very much.
This is so nice. Thank you. That looks very nice.
Yes. Okay, and, so.
Madam Chair, I just have a quick comment.
Yes, go ahead.
So it was really nice to tour the school today. and to look at the improvements that have been made at Syringa Middle School. The bathrooms, the hallways, and the lighting, and different parts of the facilities, the fix and the pipes and the carpet and things like that. And so that wouldn't be possible if we didn't have a plant facilities levy. Patrons have approved, and so we just appreciate our patrons for approving that and to allow us to, to give more life to our schools. In this case, to Syringa Middle School. So we're happy for that, and it just adds more longevity to our buildings. And these are good, strong buildings, and we just keep keeping them in good shape, and we just appreciate the patrons and our staff to take care of our schools. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, so the time has come to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, and a second? Second. Okay, have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Hold on.